Hey guys, welcome. That's YouTube telling me that we are live. I thought we'd start with some music. I feel like that's what's been missing. You know? How are we all doing? Anyone that's never been here before, my name is Steph. I am your host. We are a different human design, which is a advocacy and support organization platform that helps people who are neurodivergent and anyone that falls under the umbrella of being different. Can you see this tiny hair? We've been fighting all morning. I'm happy that I'm getting new hair growth. I seem to have lost a load during a very stressful period of university, COVID, just seemed to continue. So I'm happy that it's starting to grow back, but does it have to be so like the fifth member of the Teletubbies? Not fun. So these lunchtime streams, what do we do? Why are we here? Why are you here? I'm glad you're here. We have a goal. We want to try and get to 1,000 followers ASAP. Did you hear me? I said ASAP, 1,000 followers. Seems a little ambitious. We've been going for 2 years now. I think it's almost our second birthday. And we're at 270. It's been lovely. It's been organic. You guys are fantastic. I love chatting to all of you. We need more of you. I feel like there is a huge amount of people that don't know we exist. So for me, it'd be really helpful if we could get the word out there. So just by liking, maybe hitting the subscribe button if you've not been here before. You can do us a solid. We'll see. It'd be really helpful. Like I say, it's not about trying to be YouTube famous. As you can tell by my less than professional setup, we help people and we want to be able to help as many people as possible. The resources, information and support that's out there, some are fantastic, but they are struggling with funding. They are overcrowded. They are at capacity. And then you have places like the NHS, which you've got these long waiting times. The information on websites are a little bit vague. So we really try to bridge that gap. It's very clear within our health system. We need mental health to be seen as important, just as important as physical health. And we've made many strides towards that. And we just need to make sure that we are continuing that path. So how do we do that? We work with ourselves. Because that's all we can control, right? That's all we can control. And I feel like it might be a message that we repeat here often, but it's a message that needs to be heard because still people aren't really getting it. I think it'd be really helpful if we understood why we are the way we are in order to be able to recognize when we're doing something that isn't helpful for our well-being or for the people around us. I think it's really important to make sure that we're fully in tune with ourselves, why our past experiences, our certain genetic makeup might make us the person we are. And while doing that, recognizing that it's not our fault. These experiences that shape us are shaped for us. We are shaped by them. We have very little control over these experiences. So it's about recognizing that we aren't to blame. They aren't our fault. There's no need to be criticizing the self for the lack of opportunities you've had, for generally where you are in life, how society has treated you. And that's why we get this message out to our community, because neurodivergent individuals, anyone that, like we say, falls under the category of different, it's very much broadened, right? If you just feel like you feel different in society, that society others you, then that's what we're here for. We're here to help you recognize your authentic self, to accept and welcome that part of yourself, to completely unmask, because we know masking can be detrimental to our mental health, to our well-being. It's not good for us. It's just not good for us, you know? And life's a little bit confusing. Sometimes we don't understand quite what's good for us. There's a lot of information out there that is a little bit contradictory. There's loads of it. If you're on social media, you know that every health and well-being guru has something that they want to sell you. And quite often it is a bridge. And it's a bit of a scam. This whole capitalization of helping people. So one of the things that we do with a different human design is we have resources. They were initially free, but we also understand that when stuff is free, it looks like it's a bit of a catch. My mum, for example, has only just subscribed to the YouTube channel because she thought subscribing meant paying money. And I understand why she thought that. But I would say to her, no, it's free. And I've been saying that for 2 years. But in her mind, she's like, no, nothing's free. There's a catch here. So we were very mindful of this kind of putting people off. So we've put them at very low, our resources, at a very cheap price, a very affordable. And we have also kept an element of them being free, in the sense that if you are struggling, if you really need our help, if these resources you feel like, look, I've got nothing else, please, of course, please get in contact with us. You can email us at adifferentpodcastofficial@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, www.adifferenthumandesign.co.uk, and there's a load of information there, as well as our resources. So please check them out, see if they can be any use for you. I strongly recommend. I love them, and I'm 33 this year, which is humbling, truly humbling, I must say. But yeah, finding out who we are in life, it's really important. So to be able to be our authentic self, we have to discover ourselves. And a process of discovery is understanding our past experiences and why we are the people that we are, why our brains are so tricky. What do I mean by tricky? We have an old brain and we have a new brain. The new brain developed as the humans developed further from the animal kingdom, if you like, became more sentient, became able to process information differently, to react to to information differently, to use different skills, tools, language. Humans' evolution, we know, are very different from animals. And in many ways, we have evolved to be the fittest, right? Hey, Kay. Hey, Kay. Hey, Dwight Case-Root. Nice to see you, dude. You brain ninja'd me. What was I saying? Evolution. Yeah, humans, you can see that we evolved to be the fittest of the animal kingdom. But there are still many things that are a little bit crap about what evolved with us. Women, for example, humans are the only mammal to give birth not squatting, not on all fours. As we started to stand upright as humans, our birth canals became much wider, our hips became narrower, our hips became narrower. Everything became more difficult to the point that I believe human birth rates were the most dangerous before we have this modern technology. We understand that not only did the child regularly, unfortunately, not survive childbirth, and neither did the mother. So why did it evolve to be like that? If we've evolved to be the fittest, the greatest, why are we so prone to suffering and injury? Why do our bones break so easily? Why do we get things like allergies and digestive system problems? IBS, what is that? The amount of times I'm like, have I got IBS? And then I realise I've just drank way too much milk. And I don't think I'm lactose intolerant, but you know, when you've had too much milk across the day, whether it's ice creams, creams, in your coffee, all these different, and I just like, what is that? So shout out to IBS sufferers. You've got a real one there, and I feel for you. It's a tough one to have. So yeah, why did this happen? And it's about looking at what humans need to survive, to be the fittest, and that is other people. We might have a lot of us that are very independent and love doing things on their own, but we know that doing that your whole life can lead you into greater risk of injury, danger. It's a thing that humans need is affiliation. And we try to find that in all aspects of life. When we vote the way that we vote, it's because we want a life where we are liked, where we are safe. Whatever your political views are and however that sways you. Hey, Anna, sweetheart, how are you? Sorry I couldn't cover today. I'm obviously working. What was I saying? I need to get better at remembering what I'm saying as someone enters the chat. Because right now, it's a maintainable level to read. If it starts getting more crowded, this bit of hair is going to have to start reading them for me. It wants a part in this stream, so it might as well do something useful instead of just sticking up. Oh no, now it's all Christ. Anyway, so yeah, affiliation. We need other people. So we have these certain things that make us vulnerable, but then we also have ties. We know that we need people to survive. Therefore, it is worth keeping the people around you that you love alive. If your partner is sick, if your child is sick, you take care of them. Naturally. But what is that natural pull? It's that oxytocin. It's that chemical that literally, as that child was born, that oxytocin was formed in many cases. We understand postpartum and trauma, how that sometimes doesn't happen, but that you can see in that healthy mother-child relationship, that gush of feelings comes over you of, oh my God, nothing else matters but you. And it needs to be that way. It's not just mum. Dad gets it too. Just that first moment that baby's born, you're like, no, I'm not putting makeup on today. I saved you from that. I already put it on. So yeah, when this moment happens and you look at your child, I'm sure you had it the same, Dwight. I'm sure when your kids were born, you thought, oh, a nana. It's a really strong feeling that you can't explain to anyone. And your parents most likely had it with you. It happens after around 3 months of a relationship. It's what keeps us bonded and caring about each other. Is a chemical that happens in our brain. And especially for babies, we need to care because they're going to make some horrible sounds, some disgusting smells. They are going to keep you up all night. And to stop you having that full resentment that makes you just go away to this baby and keeping it alive and, fighting through those tough times. It's that bond, that chemical love bond, oxytocin. It's incredible. Yes, I did, honestly. Such a surreal feeling. Anyone that comes to me to say that I don't think I'll be a good mother, it's literally how I tell them. You might not be very good at taking care of yourself right now. And I strongly do not suggest that if you're in an awful place that you just start having a child to improve your situation. My point is that if you feel like you're in a point of your life where you're like, I really do want to have kids, and I just worry that I'm not going to be as good for that child as I should be. It is incredible the amount of things you will do for your child that you would never dream of doing for yourself. It's brilliant. It's amazing. Remember you telling me when I was pregnant? Yeah. Anna, bless you. It was, when I say young, being young and pregnant, I mean, in this day and age, do you know what I mean? I remember my 13-year-old babysitter getting pregnant. So I suppose quite later term in that sense, but I believe you were 25, weren't you, Anna? And that's a baby to me. I know for me at 25, the idea of having all that responsibility, it's a lot. And it really has to change your life in many ways. And again, you need that love bond so that you're not resentful that your life has completely changed. So if you've had a childhood where you recognize one or both of your parents have shown resentment, have shown jealousy, have shown narcissism, have created trauma in some sort of way, it could be argued that oxytocin was never fully formed at the start of that relationship. Same as relationships. Just because oxytocin formed on one side of the relationship doesn't mean it's being mirrored on the other side. On the other side could be pure manipulation, trauma their own selves that's not healed, that it stops them forming this bond, this connection. So that's how you can find yourself with the dopamine and the adrenaline as the first 3 months of love bombing happens. And then as reality sets in, and that not necessarily calculated manipulator, but just someone that it can be quite avoidant, selfishly themselves. The alpha bro needing to look after me first before I can whatever. I won't start on alpha bros. This is the place for you as well. I need to make that clear. It is safe for alpha bros here. I will kill you, alpha bros, and we'll work on personality problems, but you are welcome here. How do I say that non-condescendingly? You're not the worst people in the world. I definitely don't mean that. So yeah, it's important to have this bond, to have this, and animals have that. It's literally the same as animals, but in terms of us, it's a lot stronger. We have a lot more of our newer adapted brain, our new brain that's grown around that, that's evolved, that is now capable of way more intricate things. Nothing wrong for alpha bros. There are people too, like, they need some help. They're being led down a tragic path. I think that's my worry. There's so much to unpick there. And I suppose one person's idea of alpha bro is very different to another idea. I'm on about the guy on your YouTube shorts or TikTok that's like, if you've not made £2 million in the first 3 months of recruiting, then you're a loser. This is how you can do better. Like, buy my £500 course to learn how to drop ship. That kind of stuff. That, like, you need to get ahead. Women can't drive. It's just that anything that's cloaked in misogyny. That's what I mean. Misogynists. That's what I'll say. Alpha bro. We'll get rid of alpha bros. We'll allow the alpha bros. I can do that. I can do that. So yeah, this affiliation, this need for survival, it's important. Our newer brains adapted. And what are our newer brains capable of? Reasoning, positively and negatively. We can falsely assume. We can plan revenge. It's a crazy one, right? Think about animals and revenge. It just doesn't happen. The moment happens of the hunt or the fight, and then it ends. And you see animals, they literally shake off something when that happens. The body holds the score, they shake it off. Humans hold on to it. We suffer in the anxiety that follows from it. We get physiological symptoms where we struggle to breathe, our heart rates are going up, we're sweating. We are literally aroused by something that hasn't happened for a while anymore. The brain, as we know, I was talking about this last night. I talk about it all the time. The brain doesn't know the difference between fantasy and real life. And you can test it. Next time you order food, start looking down that menu and watch what happens to your stomach, your mouth. You will start literally, your body will be acting, preparing itself for food. You'll feel your stomach acid, you'll feel like the rumbling in your tummy, literally, that's what it's doing, preparing itself for food. You'll, what was I saying? A little fly went past the screen and I was like, how is there a fly in here? It's annoying. Someone tell me what I was saying. Oh no. This is how me and Anna became friends. I just grabbed her and said, what was I saying? I'd love to know the evolution of the ADHD brain and how that, I know many people are like, it's a superpower. It's a superpower. Doesn't feel like one, does it? When you're trying to make a point and then it just disappears, just flies off. Like, what evolutionary advantage is that? I know I'm supposed to be seeing myself as different. That's a real disadvantage there, whether I'm like in the current school system or not. Do you see what I mean? And I think that's why we need to look at this idea of it being a superpower. Sure, there are many things that I think I've gained as a positive, as a post-traumatic growth from having diagnosis. They certainly don't make me a superhero. There's certainly many things that are disabling. And it's just about being real with that, I suppose. Yeah. What did I write down? I wrote down a few things for you. This new brain. That's where I'm going with it. These new evolved ways of doing things, of thinking post trauma. It's the emotional brain. It's the one that doesn't focus on logic, and it isn't so much in the immediate triggered fright or flight situation. And it's not thinking smartly. It's emotional. It's worked up. It's like trying to employ all the things that will keep it safe next time. Well, then I'm just never going to speak to them again. Well, I'll go and smash his door in. Face. Oh, well, then I'm going to sack them and give them no pay. There's so many ways that we can use our evolved brains to really mess with people. And you can see, right, the state of the world. It's very easy to see. So our brains ultimately are full of glitches. That's the way that it's very, if you think of your brain as a computer, it is literally inbuilt glitches, and so many of them. Like I said, preparing yourself for food when it's not actually in front of you, you're just looking at the menu. The worst is trying to order it from Just Eat, because you know you've still got to scroll through and find the stuff. You know you've still got to put your details in and then wait 40 odd minutes for it to be delivered. It's a nightmare. And all the whole time, my stomach's just like, oh, my mouth's salivating. At least that hair's gone down. So yeah, it's not your fault that we struggle. We have these glitches that we did not create. But we have a responsibility. We can learn about ourselves, learn what gets us into these triggered states, learn how our emotional brain then reacts to them, so that we can catch them early on, to the point that we're just observing them. We're literally just seeing, that's happening because of that right now. I'm not going to let that take over my brain. I'm going to approach this from a new educated, more emotionally stable, rational type of thinking. We're going to literally employ that executive part of our brain, that prefrontal cortex. By literally breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. You know the score. Hey man, hello my darling, how are you doing? Great to see you. Welcome to the new studio. I'm no longer on the phone, although I'm worried about the views. Literally, they get nowhere near as many. So please, if you're watching right now, likes, subscribe, all that if you haven't, please, while I remember what I was talking about. And I'd be surprised that I'm not getting likes and subscribes, and I'm just like, what was I saying? Every so often I have this realization and I look around and I'm like, no one's here. I'm on my own. Question. If you could 100% map your consciousness and memory, would you upload it to an AI chip just in case we could live forever? Ooh. Yes, but there are terms. I have full ownership, even after death. Ooh. This is really hard, isn't it? Because it's like, okay, even after death, say they use it. My brain always goes to like, how can this be used terribly? Do you know what I mean? I know people are worried about robots taking our jobs, but literally I tried to go to Lidl's checkout yesterday, and every item, it was like, assistant needed. And so I'm not too worried about that sort of thing. What I am worried about is this high-tech AI that's not just like a language processing, like, what is it called? Language based thing, where it is literally doing stuff. I don't know. It gets terrifying. Hello, Lindsay. How are you doing? Can we give Lindsay hearts in the chat? She has just come out of surgery for her foot. So, shout out, girlie. Hello. I hope you heal very quickly. And for anyone that doesn't know, didn't catch, Lindsay is the other beautiful co-host of A Different Human Design, is the founder of A Different Human Design. Oh, thanks, K-Man. I appreciate it. But yeah, I would not be here without Lindsay. So please, if you want to go to A Different Human Design and follow her, she's fantastic. And on Facebook, A Different Human Design, Lindsay has renovated a double-decker bus. And every time I say that, it seems more ridiculous. But it's a fantastic little bus. She's done a fantastic job at renovating herself, and the whole process up until now, and will continue to be documented, is on the Facebook. It's on the Facebook. Such an old way of saying something. Boomer. Here's K-Man. Straight back at you. I know streamers are supposed to have this like understanding of like, we don't really know each other, but like I feel like I know you guys. That's a slippery slope, isn't it? Fine. We have the wherewithal. Yeah, so there's plenty of things that we can do. We understand that it's not our fault, but thanks, lovely. I'm all good, thanks. Just been looked after in hospital. Hopefully I can go home soon. From what I assume, they're going to want you to pee. Make sure you've peed and eaten something. And obviously all your checks are looking good. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad you're good and being looked after. I know you were worried about the anaesthetic, and I was trying to explain to her that it was the best sleep I've ever had. And I was gutted when they woke me up. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Is that a Game of Thrones reference? Because that's going to go over here, down there, probably round the back of there and out the window, because I've tried to watch it. Tried. Or Jon Snow, the newsreader. I can get on board with Jon Snow, the newsreader, especially when they did that segment on Channel 4. Is it Jon Snow? I swear it's Jon Snow. Why do I feel like that's not his name now? But they were doing cannabis trials live on Channel 4. And some guy came out with a huge vaporized bag of like, I mean, it's Channel 4. They're not going to have been getting some like yardy, terrible like, brown grass sort of thing. It would have been like, you know, well grown. And they filled up this entire, it looked like a shopping carrier bag full of this vape. And live on stage, Jon Snow was like, the whole thing. And I don't know if the specialist wasn't clear, like just, or they were like, didn't know properly themselves. All of a sudden, maybe, so he struggles to open his eyes for a little bit and he's like, ooh, yeah, this is not good for you. Like, I'm watching it go, of course it's not. That's terrible. It looks awful. No one recommends that. And then he was like, I'm going to have to go backstage and do some experiments. I swear that was Jon Snow. If I'm misremembering that, I'm going to be so annoyed. But it was possibly one of the funniest bits of live TV I'd ever watched. I wonder if it's still available. I've got to find out. Live cannabis trials, channel 4. Drugs Live, cannabis on trials, February 2050. I swear. If anyone, can you even watch that? Is that available still? I don't think it is. Last year, cannabis was smoked by 2 million people in the UK. So this was 2015, making it the most commonly used illicit drug. Around a third of 16 to 24-year-olds have tried it at least once. So this was the idea of skunk, right? This DNA like enhanced. It is Jon Snow. Spelled different. Do I believe in karma? I 100% believe in karma. Oh my God, I believe in karma. Yeah, what's made you ask that? That's interesting. I wasn't too sure about it, and I was quite agnostic, and I'd like move quite carefully, you know. I've always been kind of like treating others well, do you know what I mean? Like, I've got no reason to be an asshole generally. So it never really was a challenge. I just go about life like that anyway. But one day, and it was 2 days before my birthday, I got a card through the door that was not addressed for me. And admittedly, didn't look at the thing, just thought, I saw it was like a birthday card and ripped it straight open, opened it, and £10 fell out. But the writing in the card, it was clearly like a young girl's card. It was like, happy birthday, da, 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 and it just had a name on the front. Someone had come round and just posted it. And I don't really, past my immediate neighbours, I don't know anyone down the street. And so I asked the people that I know. No one knew anything. No one knows this name of this person. And in my head, I was like, happy birthday, me. This is a victimless crime. I was wrong though, wasn't I? There was definitely a victim, and it was a young girl. And even though I couldn't have possibly found where this card came from or who it was for, the karma in that is to not keep that money yourself. That is not yours in this world. Pay it forward. Give it to a charity. Give it to someone in the street. Just get rid of it. It's cursed. That's how I see it. Because the next few years that followed, I mean, I don't mean to think I was responsible for COVID. There was about 2 years of like let's be honest, the news got way crazier. But there was about 2 years where people were like, do you remember the simple days of like 2016 that were like kind of easier? Because now it's kind of nuts. I can't remember what else happened, but I remember people making calendars of like the next crazy thing that will happen. And then COVID happened, which was like one of the crazy things. Lindsay says, I do believe in karma. I wish it was instantaneous. Then people might have a whole lot differently, behave a whole lot differently. Yeah, it's like when you correct a dog's behavior, right? You can't do it after the event. You have to do it as it's happening so that the association happens. One thing I will say is that I've seen instantaneous regularly, like on videos on YouTube. It's happened in real life. It happens and you're like, nah, there's your karma. And sometimes I'm like, that wasn't harsh enough. Yeah, you just clipped your arm on the door. Like, I want generational pain. That's the idea of karma. You can't wish it on people either, because you are literally altering the dynamic of your own karma. So we have to understand that and believe, have faith that karma exists, and then it will get them. like 3 times fold, 4 times fold, whatever the saying is. I'm a big believer in it. Just wondering, what experiences have you had that's made you believe in it? Did you have any money out of a birthday card? Like this hedonistic asshole. Hopefully not. Um, yeah, hopefully not. What else was I going to say? That's the way you do a stream. What else was I going to say? Okay, so what kind of things can we do once we've decided we want to find out who we are? Why are we the people that we are? So we understand we've got tricky brains. We understand that we don't have control over our past experiences, that they're not our fault. And this idea that there are new versions of you, multiple possibilities of versions of you in the future, and they are decided on the actions you take now. So although we don't have control over our past experiences, although there is a lot of our current lives that we cannot control, how we respond, how we act in this life, how we show up is something we can control. So are we losing our rag on the regular? Is someone getting the raw end of you just because they're that person that's closest to you and it's easiest to take it out on them? When we think of trauma, we think of something really bad having to have happened to us that makes us some sort of extreme type of negative person, that you're contributing just a net negative in this world. And what's happening? Yes, that's that. That's it. Have faith. Karma will find a way, and it's not our job to dish it out. 100%. Just let the natural forces do their job. 100%. Yeah, literally. You can't control them. Them forces were happening before you arrived on this planet and long after. Let them do their job. Human behavior, nature or nurture. So, great debate, right? This is like the Hubble tension. This is the nature nurture tension. I think the best way that we can interpret this is looking at it's a good, clear mix of the both. So, a way that we can study this, the best way that we study this is identical twins, because they make up the exact same DNA. There was actually a study that was done, there's a few studies that were done, unfortunately, of twins and triplets that ended up in the care system. Some mothers being convinced to let go of these kids purely for experiments to be taken. And without realizing, these kids were separated and monitored throughout their life. There's a great Netflix documentary about 3 brothers. And when they find that third one, my jaw hit the floor. I personally think 70% nature, 30% nurture. Is that what you're saying? In terms of percentages, I'm really not sure. I think, how much of our existence can you put down to who we are, and what percentage is our molecular makeup, and what percentage is our time on this earth? It's really hard to calculate, right? You're thinking of two. It's like trying to compare a liquid mass to a height of something. Do you see what I mean? It's like, what percentage of what is which? But I'd be interesting to know what makes you think 70-30. I'd love to understand that. This is the thing with science. There's no point saying No. Where have you got that from? I don't know. Even if there is tons of literature out there that talks about a specific percentage on either side, do they know? Has that experiment, that journal been tried, tested? Can you replicate the data? It's important to work out, to understand that science evolves, it develops over time. The more information that we get, the more we're able to pinpoint certain things or then grow more ideas that can then be further examined, experimented on. So science is basically just offers the best explanation that we have for this moment, which is cool. I'm basing it on 42 years experience of life. 42, shout out. I feel I'm a great judge of character and read emotions very well. That's really interesting. And you think that 70% of that ability is natural. Is this something you've seen generational? Are you a family of great judges? Are you really good at reading people? Because then it's understanding what part of that was genetic and how much of that was taught. Which again does the nature nurture. But what I was saying about twins is if it was purely nature, then splitting twins up or triplets, identical triplets that have the same DNA, then you would see them be exactly the same personality, with the exact same set of health issues. Do you see what I mean? They would be the exact same person, but in different places of the world. We know that's not the case. We know that miles apart, there are elements of personality that are just undeniably the same. And that's incredible to see. But if one child is put into a well-off family that can provide private schooling, top medical care, and then you've got the other twin that's in somewhere with less opportunities, maybe, living in housing accommodation, council houses. They attend a low-off school, but there's mold in the house and it impacts their learning, which impacts them getting a job. You can see how just those two little bits of examples can really make a person different. Genetics are a massive cause for outcome. They're definitely that underlying tone, right? That foundation. When we talk about the causes of ADHD, why did these? Dr. Gabor Mate gets really in trouble when he says that this is purely from trauma, from childhood trauma. You can see how these children's needs were not met, and it manifests in this perfectionist, unrealistic expectation of themselves, where they believe that if they just do well, then people will like them. And this manifests in this inability to process information properly. And I don't think you can see why he gets in trouble for that, right? It's clearly there's a genetic makeup that can make you certain DNA types that will make you more predisposed to a higher risk of certain conditions. We can see little genes that are replicated across people with these disorders. Opportunity and luck feature very highly too. See, yeah, these are, in terms of personality and what can produce a self, genetics is the lottery. You cannot, just because you have one dad and one mum does not mean that every child ends up with the same genetics. Not only that, where your genetics are in this world, you know, are you a dark-skinned person living in the UK? Because right now you're going to be struggling with vitamin D. And that in itself puts you at a disadvantage. Your skin isn't as good. Your joints are as good. Your mood isn't as good. There's so many things that I'm now learning is related to it. Opportunity and look, in terms of where you get in life, 100%. I don't believe in meritocracy at all, unfortunately. I believe that if you work hard, then in certain institutions you will excel. What does that mean in the greater world? Unfortunately, I don't think it means much, which is kind of sad. How do you feel about genetic engineering? Are you talking about like designer eye colour and being able to cosmetically alter DNA? I don't like the idea of that. If you can, it's hard, right? Genetics are, there's many people that would argue that if there are certain genes that create you to live a life that is just being cared for, that isn't long, that is painful, not really full of humility, it can be very hard for parents. And this idea that you can genetically cure some of these predispositions before the baby's born, or you can, it's hard, right? Because there's people that are going to have thought that about autism. And then there's that idea of who gets to decide who lives and who dies, right? That's where we fall into ethnic cleansing, where like types of people, disability cleansing. Can you imagine that? Like, it's not hard to imagine. It happened in the Second World War. It's terrifying. So we have to be careful when we decide which genetics are good and which are bad. I think the best thing is to decide that neither are good or bad. They are just to be observed. For somehow IVF forms and genetic engineering, I'm not sure how that would work, but I'm all for IVF. I think it's a fantastic development in science. But I know many people aren't okay with that. I know that it can go against their faith. It can go against their moral views. This idea of playing God or creator is a little bit much for people. And I understand that. I understand that. I was going to get on to, literally, I've got a whole thing on Terrance Howard. But I've run out of time. So, we should leave it up to Elon Musk. I think we should take it off of his hands. I think he should just go and be a tech bro. Go and just like enjoy your money. You're done now. Like, if I had a fraction of what he had, would I be sat here right now? No. I hate to break it to you. I'd be on a beach 24/7. Still yelling about socialism and capitalism, but like I wouldn't be struggling. I wouldn't be trying to take over the world. Whole Dogecoin blew my mind. Like, if you're unsure about how this is going to go, he's done this before. It's Twitter. And if you go on Twitter now, it is a place that welcomes the most unhinged, unverified claims that are supposed to be in the name of free speech, which is another aspect that always baffles me. Anyway, I feel like I'm going down a black hole of complaints. Should we stop while we're ahead? The Terrance Howard thing, I was so excited. I can't believe I've not got time for it. It was making me laugh. I found so many, like, one of his theories, 1 times 1 does not equal 1. And his explanation for it is so beautiful and so terrible that I love it. The fact that he does have all the money and still tries to better the planet fills me with confidence. Unhinged, unverified speech is free speech. I'm struggling to see how he's bettering the planet when he has enough money to fix this planet several times over. And he's just gained so much more after this election. The amount that he spent on this election. Associating with Nazi parties in Germany, not supporting the trans community, including his own child. Yeah, I worry about Elon Musk because he lacks empathy, as do most leaders, world leaders, unfortunately. Life shouldn't be just about fixing things. I think I disagree. I think for many, the suicide rate is so high that the reason to wake up in the morning would be that stuff is fixed, safer for them. Unfortunately, these statistics are all over my working day because it's what I deal with. It's identifying these symptoms in people so that I can recognise them early enough that they don't actually do something. But it's becoming increasingly more difficult to reassure these people that they are in a safe world and that it is safe to openly be themselves. And my heart goes out to that person. When I recognise I can no longer help someone with their identity, when it's way above my knowledge, my experience, then I hand it off to someone that can help them because I don't want to be further not helping them. But that's why I'm a brokey, leftist, wokey. It's anti-capitalism, therefore has to be anti the richest man in the world. And not poor. And that's the reason I'm not rich. Yeah, it's a crazy world happening right now. What do we do? What do we do? Well, to start with, on the 8th of March is International Women's Day. So for everyone out there that has obviously a woman they care about in their life, if you do care, make sure that they have the life that they deserve, the equality they deserve, safety they deserve. It's great that we have different types of people, especially ones like you that take time out to for free help for others. Oh, bless you. I respect that a lot. I also respect the work Elon does. 100%. And if you've noticed, I'm not here being like, you like Elon? You must be a Nazi. Doesn't make any sense. I understand exactly why you like Elon Musk. I understand it greatly. I think the world has been ran by politicians who have lied, done things for their own agenda, selfishly, hid information, made it very difficult to be in this country with the way that politics is being ran. So when you see something in America, like change is happening, I can definitely see how that it sparks that, like, well, it's got to be better than what we've got, right? It's got to be better than what we've got. Um, who there's no way that you're like, this is going to be evil for everyone. Let's go. I don't believe that you're that kind of person at all. And only time will tell, 100%. I'm basing purely off my boring ass to get my degree. My degree in psychotherapy and counselling is actually a Bachelor of Science. I could have got the Bachelor of Arts if I didn't undertake research, scientific research. That's what makes it a science degree. I'm not that clued up in most areas of science, but in terms of research, interpreting research, analysing it, and obviously theory, I'm a right nerd for that stuff. And I got a distinction. I got the highest level that you could get in my dissertation. And why am I telling you this? Not to brag, but to explain that when I say something is coming from textbooks, education, from looking at how this information has developed since, just because you learn of a theory that was concepted in the 1600s, you can't just keep that and be like, oh yeah, Freud and the Oedipus complex, yep. No, it evolves, it develops, and you keep tabs on journals and how specific things are mapping out, how they're evolving. And by looking at Marxist theory, by looking at, what is capitalism? What is social democracy? What is communism? What is socialism? How do they play out in this world? What is being told to us about this? What isn't being told to us about these things? And just everything that I say, if it's a thought, I will always say it's a thought. This is my belief. I am worried about this. If it's a fact, then I will say it with my chest. And if I say something that I think is a fact and later find out it's wrong, I will always hold my hands up. Because that's how we build trust, right? That's how we get on. I'll be working for the US government soon on the Doge team. Are we about to see a huge rug pull? That's what my biggest fear is. That I've seen Joe Rogan advocating for Dogecoin, for this. Certain things that they're doing in America that I'm holding on to, which is like they're kind of sounding a little bit leftist. And I think I said this on Monday, and I'm just letting them cook. Oh, you don't like this federal agency? Like, no, you're right. That's real woke. Get rid of it. Not for the reasons that we don't align with the same reasons, but sure, get rid of it. It's woke. It's too woke. It's woke and gay. Whatever convinces them. But yeah, I'm gonna get going now because your girl's late. Thank you very much for joining. Dwight, my guy, I'm learning more about you every time. I know your name now. I know your age. And I know that you personally believe that your personality is made up of 70% nurture, 30%, 70% nature, 30% nurture. And I love learning about this stuff. I love learning about you guys. But yeah, let's have these differing opinions. Let's have these chats. Let's untangle the world together. That's the idea of it. go peep off. Thanks a lot, guys. Again, I've been Steph. If you want to go to our website, it's in the description below, as are our socials. If you want to send Lindsay a get well soon, go over to her. She's just had an operation on her foot. And what else is there? We'll be back. We will be back on Monday. Hopefully with less of a speech impediment. Yeah. One can only hope. So, thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely afternoon.